Hi everybody, welcome. My name is Tammy from Homesteading in the City with Tammy. If you are new here, thanks for stopping by. If you've been here from the beginning, I really appreciate you coming by each week and watching my new videos that I put out. This week's video, we are going to be doing pineapple jam without pectin. If that is something that interests you, stick around. Okay, so for the recipe for the pineapple jam, I got it from this canning book here. I just have it saved here. So now the recipe calls for no pectin. The reason it's nice to use a no pectin recipe is because a lot of times it calls for less sugar. Now as you can see, this recipe only calls for 2.5 cups of sugar with 4 cups of crushed pineapple. Now last year I used my juicer and I got pineapple real cheap and I made some fresh pineapple juice, and I took the pulp that the juicer left and I put it through my food processor, and it was really flavorful pulp. So that's what I'm using today for my jam. So I didn't have to waste the pulp. I'm able to use it for my jam. So that's one, that's all we have to do, that and lemons. So I have all of that in my pot, and I've got my sugar measured out. So we just have to pour that in a cup of water into our pot and start bringing that to a boil. Now with pectin-free jam, you have to process it a little bit longer for the sugar to set. I'll take it over and show you my... So there is all of the pulp and the lemons in there. Okay, so it's just, the recipe just says to combine everything together. And let me get my cup of water. Okay, my cup of water. Now we're just going to stir it all together, and then we are going to put it on the burner on a medium heat. I already have my burner going, so that, but you want to, before you put it on the burner, you want to get all the sugar mixed in so it's not on the bottom of the pan and burn right away. Okay, so that's all mixed in, and I can put it on my burner, and we're just at a low temp. We are going to bring it to, well, a medium setting. We're going to bring it to a boil until the sugar dissolves. So it's not something you have to stir all the time. And again, while this is getting warm, because it was in the refrigerator all afternoon, so until it gets warmed up, the sugar won't melt. It'll take a little bit. But while that's doing that, I'm going to get my jars ready. And then I'm going to sit them, like I did before, in the hot water and let them just stay in hot water. I'm also going to I'm going to use my water bath canner today. And because I don't figure I'm going to have as many jars, and that'll hold less jars. And get my water bath canner going on the other burner and get that water hot so that I can have everything warm while I put it together. So you don't need to watch me wash dishes, and you don't need to watch this try to come to a boil. I'll bring you back when it starts boiling. Okay, I got all of my jars sitting in the hot water. They're washed. My seals are down in there too. So those are just going to sit in that hot water until I'm ready to use them. Now, this is starting to, if you can hear, it's starting to boil a little bit. It's not really there yet. The one good thing about using pectin-free a jelly recipe or jam recipe is it allows you to use, for one, less sugar. It also allows for a little bit of a longer processing time, so you have some time to get your stuff ready, whether, get your canner going while this is heating up, get your jars ready, get the seals ready, everything that you need, you're able to do that while this is still heating up. Once it starts to boil, you have to stir it frequently for like 15 minutes. That's where they tell you to put it in a smaller pot. I always go for a bigger pot because it's going to bubble up and it's going to shoot hot sauce into the air, and it's going to start burning you. So the higher you can go on it, the better. This is my shorter wooden spoon. I have a longer one, which I might end up turning to if it starts splashing a little bit too high and getting me. But yeah, it's really not ready to boil at this point. Low or medium heat it takes a little bit of time to get it up to temp for boiling. Once I get it boiling, I will show you what it looks like boiling, and then we have to just stir it for 15 minutes at that point, and then I'll bring you back and show you putting it into the jars. And this time, hopefully, I will get putting the seals and the rings on the jars so you can see how I do that. Okay, can you hear that it's starting to boil? And you can see it there. If I can't stir it down, it's going to be a good boil. Oh, I could stir it down. Well, almost. So it started right back up again. So this is almost to where we need it to be to start processing it for 15 minutes. Yep, that's where we need it to be, because I stopped stirring and it started coming back. So that is a boil that you can't stir down, so now we can have to process it for 15 minutes. Now while it is processing for those 15 minutes, you don't have to stir it constantly, but you do have to keep stirring it just so that the sugar and the fruit doesn't stick to the bottom of the pan. So you want to stir it, but you don't have to stir it constantly like you do when you're making pectin jam. That you have to stir constantly for 1 minute. This being that it's 15 minutes that it's processing, you can let it boil for a little bit, stir it, let it come back to, get back to into a boil, and stir it again a little bit more. So here we got quite the boil going on. We're almost done. We have like 5 minutes left of the boiling and stirring till it gets to like the soft gel stage. And then we can put it in our jars. Okay, so now that it's off the heat and all done boiling, it's thick enough for what we need. We're at our soft gel stage, so we'll pull our jars out of the water. Let them drain upside down just so you don't have any extra water in your jars for a minute. Okay. Now again, I'm going to use my measuring cup, my big 4-cup one, and my wide funnel there, and that just helps keep the mess down at the top of the seal. So when we have to wipe them off, it's not such a big deal. So let me get that ready. Okay. I'm trying to do this so you can see what we're doing. Stir it up a little bit here. Again, we're going to leave that head space there, and it really helps with the funnel to be able to figure that out. You should go to the bottom of the funnel there. Pineapple jam is really thick. Okay, so now that they are all full, the one thing you want to do is you want to wipe the top of the ring off, of the top of the jar off, to make sure there is no residue of jam on the jar at all before you put your seal and your ring on. So you just do that with a warm cloth, warm wet cloth, and make sure everything is clean. You want to have a good seal between your jar and your lid. And this is one of the reasons why I use the funnel with the measuring cup because it allows me to control the amount of liquid that spills over my jar, and less stuff is on my jar to clean up. Okay, so now we're going to show you, this is how you put the seal on, and then you put the ring on top of that, and you only do it finger tight. That's tight enough right there. Too tight, the seals can be compromised, and you will have, they might blow up in the center and not seal down. The other thing you want to make sure when you put your ring on, that you don't cross thread it and you actually get it down tight to the jar, because if there's a space in there, it'll not allow the seal to seal to the jar. When you're cleaning and washing your seals, make sure you take the time to separate them. Sometimes they're a little thick and they get stuck together. I had one that 2 of them were together, and I put it on there. The ring didn't get tight enough on, and with the 2 seals that were in there, it didn't seal. So just make sure, take a little bit of time to make sure that you have only 1 seal and that your ring is down square onto your jar. Okay, they're now in the canner under water, about 1 inch of water. As long as they're submerged, we're good. And once it comes to a boil, which it's almost there because it's been on the heat, once it comes to a boil, I can process them for 10 minutes. And then it tells me to take the lid off and leave them in the water for another 5 minutes before I pull them out. So once they start boiling, I will put the timer on for 10 minutes. Well, now that the timer is done, we're just supposed to turn the heat off and take the lid off of it and allow it to sit for 5 minutes. So that'll come down from a boil there, and I've got my handles there that I'm able to pull these out and set them on the top, and brings the jars out of the water once it is been 5 minutes. So we will do that, and then I will just take them with my picker-uppers that I have, and I will pull them out and put them on the counter and allow them to sit and completely cool for them to seal. Well, I think they all sealed as soon as I pulled them up out of the water. They just started tink, 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 tink as soon as I pulled them out of the water. So I couldn't even let you guys listen to hear one seal because they sealed immediately. So I just pulled them all out of the water, and they'll just sit here until tomorrow before I label them and put them down on my storage shelf. But there is pineapple jam. Well, everybody, that's it for another canning video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you have not subscribed, please consider subscribing to my channel and hit the notifications and the thumbs up. And as always, I will see you on the next one. Have a good week. Bye.